hearing. If we could have the camera, please. There we go. Public hearing called to order at 6:30 p.m. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could have the roll call, please.
Councilperson Darzinski.
Here.
Higgins.
Here.
Kelsey.
Here.
Murphy.
Here.
No Parkinson. Mayor Carnes.
No. Here. Okay, the purpose of this public hearing is for the CDBG grant to be discussed. Everyone was invited to give testimony how the upcoming fiscal year CDBG budget should be allocated. So we have, well, let's see, we have Doreen Christian in attendance. So without further ado, Doreen.
Good evening. The City of Lincoln Park anticipates an allocation of $711,680 in community development block grant funding from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for use during the 2018-19 program year. Of this allocation, $604,928 is available to be allocated among various eligible projects, with the cap of public service projects being $106,752. We anticipate that as a result of the revolving loan fund, we also have an additional sum of funding known as program income available for allocation in the homeowner rehabilitation loan program. The 5-year consolidated plan developed in 2016 will govern the allocation of these funds. The regulations require that all activities funded in whole or in part with CDBG funds meet one of the following objectives. They must directly benefit residents with a low to moderate income, prevent or eliminate a blighting or slum-producing type of influence, or address a community need of particular urgency for which no other funds are available. A minimum of 70% of these funds must address objective number 1, which is the benefit of the low to moderate income. CDBG assisted activities must comply with regulations set forth through the U.S. Department of HUD. Historically, the city has funded 4 basic categories of activities: public service, home improvement program, infrastructure improvements, and administration. Public services include but are not limited to child care, health care, job training, recreation programs, education programs, public safety services, fair housing activities, services for senior citizens, services for homeless persons, drug abuse counseling and treatment, energy conservation counseling, and testing. Again, the public service activities are limited to 15% of the total program funding. Our home improvement program provides code-related improvements to existing homeowners. This program includes low interest rate loans and deferred loans for income qualifying households. This program in large part addresses the community's affordable housing needs. Infrastructure improvements vary on a yearly basis, but have included numerous roads, parks, and water and sewer projects. With us tonight, we have several agencies that have submitted proposals for their funding. We will ask those present tonight to give a brief 5-minute synopsis of their proposal, but before we do, I will go over the interdepartmental requests for funding. The Police Department Community Policing Officer requested $80,000. The Police Department Code Enforcement, $30,000. Senior Center Staffing, $17,000. Demolition of dangerous buildings, $30,000. Residential Rehabilitation Program, $50,000. Sewer Lead Rehab and Replacement Program, $240,000. And Streets and Utilities, $441,290. And Mayor, I'll give you the list so you can call them up.
Okay, we have apparently two groups that would wish to speak tonight, and first is the Guidance Center, and it's Francis Watzkewitz?
Close, Vaskevich.
Watzkewitz, sorry, Francis.
Thank you. Thank you, Council, Mayor, and Doreen, for allowing me to come this evening to speak to you about the Guidance Center. I guess if we can say anything about this Guidance Center in 2018, we will say it's a year of celebration. We are celebrating our 60th anniversary this year. We were started in July of 1958 here in Lincoln Park. And Lincoln Park is the only city that we have had continuous presence for the whole of the 60 years. So our partnership with Lincoln Park has always been a wonderful partnership. We're very pleased with it, and to offer to all the citizens here in Lincoln Park two facilities, really, that we are able to give services to them. We provide mental health, substance abuse services to children and adults. As I said, we have our original site, which is on Outer Drive, just off of 4th Street, which we still have in use today. Also on Electric Avenue is our Head Start facility that we manage. In the last fiscal year, we saw 706 low to moderate income children and adults from Lincoln Park. Just to let you know, we do the census track, so it's not the zip code, it's the census track, and Lincoln Park is, has their, the census track. So that's a concern for some of the cities that mix zip codes, but, so we really don't go by the zip code. We provided 13,071 hours of service to those 706 residents at a cost of $3,057,744. We also provided for early Head Start, and Great Start Readiness Program, which are all educational programs, to 125 low to moderate income students through the Lincoln Park Head Start site. I am asking you today for $5,000 to help in the providing of services to these 706 individuals. And if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
No, thank you for all
Thank you.
for all your good work.
Well, thank you.
Right. And then representing First Step, we have Eileen Hogan.
Hi. Thank you, Council, Mayor Doreen, for allowing me to speak. Hard act to follow. I thought I was coming up here to talk about First Step celebrating our 40th year this year, but 60 years. So yeah, First Step is celebrating 40 years of providing free services to survivors of domestic and sexual violence in Lincoln Park and all of Wayne County. We actually have 2 offices located across the street in your community policing building that are now very busy. In fact, we're considering looking for more space in Lincoln Park. We have advocates there 4 days a week, seeing adults and seeing children who have experienced or witnessed domestic or sexual violence. We also have an advocate who works in partnership with the police department, gets all of the domestic violence police reports, and actively reaches out to the victims listed on those reports to help safety plan and hook them up with services. We have a 45-bed shelter in Wayne. Last year, we provided over 300 nights of shelter to Lincoln Park residents. 92% of the over 92% of the Lincoln Park residents that we serve are in the extremely low poverty range. Our services beyond shelter, we have a 24-hour crisis line. We provide advocacy in the courts. We have counseling for adults and children and significant others. We provide translation services. We have a CIRICOM line. So even on our crisis line, we have 24/7 access to over 300 interpreters anytime, day or night. We have legal aid, civil legal aid. We have attorneys who come in and we'll meet with survivors and help them see what their legal options are. We do outreach in the communities and into the schools. We provide services to over 7,000 people every year in our various programs, and have enjoyed the partnership of Lincoln Park for close to all 40 years that we've been doing services. We've actually physically had people working out of the community policing building, I think, for about 15 years now. So we appreciate your ongoing support.
Do you get information on all domestic violence calls, or is it just that when there are arrests? Or when does First step in on a domestic violence situation?
So we are meant to get every call that goes out. There doesn't need to be an arrest.
Okay.
That way, we can safety plan and hopefully avoid a future incident.
Do you reach out to each of those folks, whether it be men?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes, we do. A letter goes out, there's always, it's actually, our community response program, which this Lincoln Park Advocate is one of them, is the only program where we actively reach out to the listed victims on reports, because there's safety issues. We get a lot of calls on the crisis line, would you call my sister? Would you go pick up my aunt? Would you go get my brother? But then there are safety issues if we were to do that. This way, if the police have been called out, the initial thing that goes from our advocate is a letter that says, we understand that you were the victim on a domestic violence call, and this is who I am, and this is how you can reach me, and these are all the services that I can provide.
So it may not always work the first time, but
May not always work the first time.
they'll have your information.
But they'll have
after
the information, then we're not a stranger, and then if our advocate, is at the police department, we've had the police department call us and say, is anyone over there who can come over and see us now? And if there's no one here in Lincoln Park, we have an on-call assault response team who will come out to police departments, hospitals, schools, anywhere to speak with someone anytime, day or night.
Very good. Are there any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I remember, I'm probably the oldest person here, almost the oldest person in Lincoln Park, but years and years and years ago.
Virginia, for the purposes of the people at home, would you come to the microphone, please?
I remember our first SIP starting when I think I was first on city council, and it was done by Wayne County. It was brought in by Frank Saul, who worked for Wayne County. So I'm really happy that we've had it this long, and having a daughter who's a pediatrician does have many, many contacts with First Step. So I'm really glad we have your program, and I hope we can do better for you. But you no longer receive funds from Wayne County, is that true?
We do receive.
You do, okay, all right.
Yes, we do.
All right, that was the one thing I was interested in, because that's how it started, was from Wayne County, till the other smaller cities or whoever was willing to accept the program would give the funds to. Thank you.
We do, thank you. Any other questions?
Eileen, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Is there any other person wishing to discuss about the CDBG funding request? How about the in-department ones, the in-house ones?
You're it, Ray.
That's a good thing, Ray.
Chief, would you wish to speak on your requests, or? Sure. Okay. Then Dennis, do you have anything that, okay.
Both of our requests that we put in from the PD are very actually important and special requests. We have the ordinance, which is our fight on blight. I think everyone knows in the last couple years we've been actively attacking the blight problem that we have. A lot of it is in the low-mod areas of the city. It's been proven that when blight is reduced, crime is also reduced, so it's become very important to the PD to continue that fight. The other funding that we've put in for was our community policing officer. This will be our third year now, this July. Our sergeant is Sergeant Mueller in our community policing program. Has done an incredible job with it to bridge the gap from our community with the police department together. Again, when the community trusts the police department and we can work together, again, that's another avenue that the crime is reduced. Community policing program has done a lot in the last couple years, and we're already in the plans to build that up and continue on and make it better and better. That's all I have for you.
Great, thank you. Questions, comments? Okay, Chief, thank you.
Thank you.
Doreen, do you have anything else you wish to add? Okay, then at this point, I'll entertain the motion to adjourn the public hearing.
So moved.
Please call the roll.
Councilpersons Murphy,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Darzinski.
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Mayor Carnes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, very good.
All right, thank you all.